Fort Isk. Upon arriving, you met an individual, a very unique individual at that. He was donning unique attire and armor. The chest piece consisted of a cross-section with each quadrant having engraved Roman numerals that matched their positions on a coordinate plane. Quadrant 1 was red. The numerals were red. For Quadrant 2, they were green. Quadrant 3, gold. And finally, Quadrant 4, which is the one you're in now, is blue. You're currently in Fort Isk. It has been 2 days since you arrived. You've had time to rest, recover, so forth. You discovered that the two Magistari, Alec and Ross, were actually twin brothers.
Fort Isk, from first setting foot within its walls for you all, looks as though it has yet to seen any period of peace of recent times. Garrisons and equipment are constantly moving from one end of the fort to the other. Drills are constantly exercised, and the civilian folks within the residential and commercial sections are wary of impending attack from above, whether it be from long-range shelling or airplanes. Mornings in the fort are generally noisy, with the rousing of soldiers and early morning barrages fired from the rear line, along with the occasional bursts of fire heard miles away from the border between the Resistance and Imperium territories. Nights are quiet, aside from the aforementioned sounds from the front line and the extremely rare air attack that may happen.
I would also like to add that numerous vehicles and BTTs are seen coming and going. The ones coming usually are bringing in wounded troops, while the other ones that are leaving are sending out fresh ones. You are currently stationed in a barracks. It's the evening of the second day since you have arrived. You were instructed by the individual who you later found to be the Duke to meet with him at the administration complex, aka headquarters, for briefing. Can I have everyone make me a history check?
16.
20. What's history? Oh, 15.
So, you all pretty much know this. The Duke is the spokesperson for the 4 overseers. He's one of the few individuals who's seen all 4 of them in person. The 4, they make the orders, and then the Duke delivers them, be it to the wardens or some other authoritative figures. However, this is the first time you have ever seen the Duke in person. And whether he was what you expected or not expected is, well, that's up to you. So anyway, you're currently in a barracks. It's the evening before you are to meet with him at the headquarters for your briefing. If you want to interact with each other or do anything before the next morning, now would be the time.
Question.
Yeah.
Over these last 2 days, what degree of freedom have we had to move around?
There are clear civilian areas within the fort. You have your usual commercial districts, and you have a few residential areas, but more so on the eastern side of the fort is based more on military, so you're a lot more restricted on where you're allowed to go in those areas.
Okay, because the reason I was going to ask was that Inshu would to at least spend a amount of not small amount of time each day, if he's able to have access in the probably in the med bay.
Yes, a healer would be very welcome. So
that's where if his skills are needed, then that's where he shall be.
All right.
Both his just general knowledge of medicine as well as his magical healing for those in more dire need.
All right. So yeah, you'd be spending your time tending to the wounded, and the doctors and nurses and the other people caring for the ones in the infirmary. They are more than happy to receive your help.
And in the dire event that anyone is to pass, at least be they religious or not, I would at least give my blessings. Whether again religious or not, I'd probably still at least give it.
Okay.
Not sure if that happened or not.
And we'll say that I believe you healed Alec after he got. It was either Alec or Ross. I can't remember
It
which.
was Alec.
Okay. You healed him after he got stung by the drone, so he pretty much vouched for your abilities, which made them welcome you even more.
I just want to verify about this briefing with the Duke. What exactly are we briefing over?
The details have been very what's the word? Vague. He pretty much told you that you'd take it one step at a time, and most of what you will need to know will be revealed tomorrow.
And then, second off, are we, I guess, involuntary members of the Resistance now?
No, you are not. You're simply taking refuge here, and you are under the I don't want to say not exactly custody, but
You're under the wings.
Supervision.
Yeah, supervision of the Duke.
Erulas is going to have spent those remaining days kind of self-repairing himself after getting stabbed by a drone.
Yeah.
Are there any points of interest in Fort Isk?
Browsing, the available areas in the fort. You have a few notable shops, mainly for selling equipment that are needed for passerbys. You also have a few inns that are for, travelers coming and going. You have the general headquarters area, which that you are briefed to go to the next morning. That outside the walls, you have a few. You notice that you walk through the main entrance, but you look over on the western side and you see a few other sub entrances that lead out to rear line supports. One of the things that you knew of definitely whenever you looked down one of the main streets is that you saw a large door that led into an underground portion of the fort that you have yet to see. And from what you know of, from the amount of equipment that they are moving in and out, that it seems to be largely storage as well as, extra fortifications.
Another question. Currency. Is currency universal, or is each kingdom have their own thing going on?
For simplicity's sake, let's just say it's a universal currency.
All right. And then leading off of that, are there any opportunities to make some cash while we are here? Just small jobs or anything like that?
What kind of work are you looking for?
Work that will pay.
I would say that due to some of the faces that you've seen of some of the residents in this area, some are very wary to be out on the streets at certain times of day in terms of, delivering and other logistics space for their shops and stuff. So there might be some of them that are grateful of passerbys that are, willing to go out at those times and deliver things to whether it be other people's shops or the more administrative heads of the fort itself.
All right, I'm going to take that if I can. I'm going to attempt to take it to do that job.
Okay.
However, does it pay? It doesn't have to be a lot, as long as it pays.
I would say they are willing to give you some money for your troubles because,
all right.
Yeah. Also, I will say that you're pretty much left to your own devices, Aerodras. But some of the passing soldiers are giving a little bit of interesting glances because you are a rarity in, well, almost this entire continent.
Okay, I'm not unused to that.
Also, I just want to verify, you say this continent, are there multiple continents, or just for simplicity's sake there's one continent for everything that we're going to be doing?
There are multiple continents.
Multiple continents. All right.
Chris, roll. Roll d6.
Oh.
6.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's no big deal. I live the flip life, so
Okay.
I know occasionally
You want me-
fortune does
just
not come to me.
I can just read what it landed on. Do you want me to do that?
You're the DM, dude. Go ahead.
Okay. You gain a reputation for laziness, unjustified or not, whichever you choose, giving you disadvantage on checks made for this downtime activity for the next, you're not going to be here this long, but 6 work weeks you devote to it.
But do I get paid?
You get paid, but there are a few customers who request that you are not sent back to their location.
You know, I didn't want to send stuff to them anyways.
Let's see.
You know, that's pretty good. For your, I guess, day and a half, 2 days of work, you get paid 12 gold pieces. Which is a lot by commoner standards.
Yeah, I just increased my frickin' wealth by 120%.
Dang, boy.
With this gold, I want to go down to, you said that there was like a place that was selling stuff?
There's a few shops around town. You know, there's plenty of like, you know, decent commercial areas, but there's some that are more relevant than others for, you know, your guys' background and
Alright.
tendency to come and go.
Fuck. Let me do a flip real quick. Alright. I'm gonna go to one of the shops. How many does each shop have like its own specialty or
Not There's like a slight specialty. It's not like any one shop is completely dedicated to one thing or another. But, you know, there'll be some shops that have more, you know, space dedicated to one sort of group of items than others in terms of weapons, armor, or, you know, essential supplies while you're traveling.
just for like a breakdown, like what kind of shops do we have? Yeah, just what kind of different shops do we have?
As you're perusing the town and stuff like that, you come across a few shops. You see, I would say it's almost like a general store of sorts, you know, mainly selling your basic essentials of camping equipment, you know, ration food, canteens, and all sorts of stuff. You also come across one or two other shops that seem to be selling some sort of surplus equipment from whatever the general base doesn't have anymore, whether it's outdated or damaged or for more civilian-like use. And this from just general mundane equipment to probably some weapons and a few armor pieces.
All right, I'm gonna go to the general shop.
All right.
Are there any things in there that like would catch my eye that are reasonably priced?
So you walk in. Of course, as you walk in, you have a human merchant that ends up welcoming you as you walk into the store. You start perusing the shelves and all that. You see some rations laying around, um, dried jerky, you know, all sorts of that stuff. You have some water skins, but they're more army based. They're metal canteens, so they last more in extreme elements. I would say you also have some more clothing that are based towards hot environments, as well as the very rare occasion of the little bit of the colder environments, considering that deserts can get pretty cold at nights.
We'll say the thing that catches your eye the most would most likely be a spool of steel cable.
Ooh, okay. Not that interested. All right. So with like the rations and stuff, is there like a variety or?
You have base, you have your, you have your general rations that you would see anywhere else based on your travels. But you also have leftover, what are essentially MREs from the base, as well as, nearby outposts that, there's a surplus. You would know that they would, have a higher preservation rate than your regular rations. And there's a higher, there's a higher variation because, they can, unlike regular rations, they can be readied through having a mess kit and cooking and all that.
Like gameplay wise or stat wise, is there like a difference between the two?
You know how we talked about the
You talked about a little food change. I don't. You might have to
yeah,
remind me of
yeah,
that.
we had that brief food change that you're able to eat, and then it gives you back some hit points based on your what was it, a d6 plus your con mod.
We'll say the regular rations do a D4 plus con mod, and the MRE will do a D6.
How many units of it do they have?
I mean, quite a lot.
Pretty much limitless.
It's stacked in bulk.
So like I could buy
Or stocked, I should say.
I could buy a lot of it if I wanted to.
If you so choose. I will add each day you can only eat 3 rations to gain that benefit, the healing benefit.
All right, I'm gonna buy, let's say 5. No, let's just run it off to a good old 6.
Okay.
Let's do the math here.
Do the math.
2 gold, 4 silver, 6 copper.
Yes.
Now I gotta subtract that from 22.
All right. Congratulations. The transaction is complete. Receive your change, or, well, if you need any change, you receive it. He thanks you for your patronage. And unless there's anything else you want to buy while you're there, he bids you farewell.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna leave, and then I have one more question.
Yeah.
So, would there be any consequences of leaving the walls of the fort?
Like, are you asking, is there a strict curfew?
Like, could I walk out and there being, like, I won't get screwed up or in trouble?
I would say at the very least you would get some suspicious looks.
Well, that's a risk I'm willing to take.
From the guards that are on duty at night.
All right, I'm gonna I don't know when I'm gonna do this, but just kind of leave the walls and just travel around the general area just for a couple of hours to see if there's basically scouting purposes, as well as like just seeing what the general area looks like and seeing if there's any points of interest.
Okay.
Aren't coin flips fun, guys?
Coin flips are fun.
Man, I really wanted that metal wire. Wire is fun when you have electricity.
I mean, I technically am made with a shit ton of wire.
Could you imagine getting wire and like basically coming up and grappling a guy, wrapping around his neck, and then using shocking grasp.
Oh God.
Could you imagine that?
I feel like
Homemade
that would
shock collar.
If you're an artificer, you can enchant the fucking wire with shocking grasp. So every time you say the word, it's just shock color. Go.
Why shocking grasp when you can do lightning bolt?
You approach the gate. You end up passing by it with some minimal interaction from the guards who are explaining why you are leaving. Other than that, they mainly just give out some warnings as to be careful around the area, considering, you know, how close to, you know, frontline and all that stuff is. After probably about 10 minutes of trying to break through all the riffraff coming through and fro in terms of vehicles bringing in injured and trade and all that stuff, you are outside the walls.
Cool. I'm going to do what I plan to do, which is just kind of scout around the area, see if there are any point of interest, any I don't know, like ruins or weird sigils or runes or something around here that would like be interesting.
All right, so you kind of follow the road for a few minutes until you decide to take off one of the paths. As you're scanning the horizon, you know that the general landscape of this, there's a few bodies of water, you know, layered around the fort. But you also know that this area is partly flat, aside from a decent amount of highlands that kind of like rise up above the rest of the above the ground. You go off, you end up following one of the lakes, one of the little lakes that is bordering the road. And as you get closer to one of the shores, you start smelling something really foul.
Um, I'm just gonna continue on, not even kind of bother looking at it or trying to investigate what it is, if I can.
Alrighty. So you continue walking on a bit more. Eventually, as you get away from the apparent point of origin of this foul-smelling thing, the smell kind of fades. You continue along your walk. As you approach the eastern side, you can look up at the highlands and see two very large coastal guns just kind of aiming off in the southern direction. Other than that, you see a little bit of interesting topography here and there, but not really anything that necessarily like justifies any sort of splunking or anything. Other than that, your trip around the perimeter and all that is fairly uneventful.
No social interactions or anything like that. At least notable.
Yeah, as you see, like there's plenty of like riffraff along the road coming in and out, but considering the closeness of this fort is to the front lines, there's a lack of like, I would say, general life other than your regular, wild piece of desert wildlife here and there beyond the road.
All right. That's it. I'm going back. And just to like verify like time wise, this is like the day before we have to go speak to the guy.
Yeah, this is during your downtime. This is your down. Yeah, this is the day before, during your downtime before you end up actually going to go top the dude. Bright and early.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna just go back and spend the rest of my time just doing nothing.
All right.
Just doing small stuff. So.
Okay.
What about the rest of you?
Still repairing.
Okay.
I'm almost done.
I'm still going to be spending a good majority of my time in the med bay.
Okay.
I need to fix the circuits that were poisoned in the day prior.
Eventually, Michael, most of what's going to arrive for the day, the wounded have been more or less stabilized. And one of the nurses approaches you and says something along the lines of, "You've helped us out a lot, Mr. Inshu. Why don't you go rest? We'll take it from here."
Well, I do very appreciate your concern. I think I will. I do draw tired. If there are any more, please do come fetch me.
Oh, before you go, please, take this. It's not much, but it's the least we can do. You see as she hands you a small pouch, and it jingles, implying that there are indeed coins.
I kind of reach up for it and then kind of pull my hand back a little bit, like almost hesitating before I do kind of take it, kind of feeling the weight of it. How heavy is it? Like, could I make an assumption of about how much is in it?
There's probably anywhere from 7 to 10 coins in there.
Well, I do hesitate to take them. The work I do is not for coin. Gift of life should be given to all.
She doesn't really say anything. She kind of gives you a side smile and a look of general approval.
I guess with that, I will kind of slowly slide it into my pants pocket,
Okay.
and then after another pass over all the patients to make sure they're stabilized, I will kind of head back to the barracks where we are staying for some rest.
As you begin to head out, the current doctor in residency says, "You've helped us out quite a bit, my boy. Thank you very much."
Well, I should not be the one you thank. Helm is the one who deserved the thanks. Without him, I could not have done any of this.
He doesn't give a look of disapproval or concern, but kind of hesitance. You would know.
I was about to say, assume a look I am not too unfamiliar with.
Yeah, you would know that there's not a whole lot of religiosity in the four quadrants, especially ever since the drain occurred. Faith has diminished a little more as each few years passed.
Seeing that look, I'm going to give him a nod to the head, or a nod of my head, and take my leave.
Okay. All right. We'll say for simplicity's sake that you are all reunited in your quarters.
How much gold was in that bag, by the way?
We'll say 9 gold.
Okay, thank you. I kind of look at Aerodras and say,
How are the repairs going?
I will turn back on after about a moment or two. Oh, they should be done by the end of tonight.
Is it awfully convenient to be made of metal and wood?
Well, is it convenient to not be made of metal and wood?
It has its pros and cons.
I would not know too much about that. Nor do I.
Well, the weather, I'd have to say, is the biggest issue. We can get too hot, too cold.
I have sensors to detect these things, yes, but I don't understand feeling them.
Yes, but it wouldn't quite be the same as it wouldn't impose such a mortal not influence, that's the wrong word. A chance of mortality, as it wouldn't apply as much to you as it would to someone like me.
Didn't quite think of it like that. Well, if that's the case, then you should ensure you're all, well, whatever your fleshy body needs to keep itself alive in these temperatures and these weather.
That's why I dress in layers.
I see. Well, my repairs should be done with by about midnight tonight. So then I will be up, staying in standby mode. So I'm gonna kind of wave my hand at him and go into standby.
I'm gonna kind of lay down on my bunk, probably a good amount exhausted.
All right.
So, Inshu, how many limbs have you amputated today?
Maxwell, not Maxwell, the wrong campaign. Coulson, how many? Have I maybe amputated any limbs today, or have I managed to save them?
Roll a d4 -1.
I don't have any d4s at the ready. One moment, please.
If you get lucky, roll a 1.
1 minus 1.
Okay, so you got lucky. There were no amputations today. There were a fair amount of dressings and casts, though.
Vex, there were no amputations today, though. Were some dressings, casts, that sort of thing, but fortunately no amputations.
Well, that's good. What about burns?
Oh, we saw a fair share of burns today. Burns, lacerations, cuts. Those are the majority of the things we see.
And shrapnel, don't forget shrapnel.
And shrapnel.
How do you feel when you tend to these people?
I feel a great sense of joy. I like to hope that through my actions I can give them a bit longer of a life. Let them experience this world just a little bit longer. Spend more time with those they care about. In the service of something they believe in.
Well, that's great.
It can often be all too painful to have those you love thrust from this world.
Yes, I know way too much about it.
Unfortunately, I do as well, good friend.
You know, I don't think I can ever find myself doing something like that.
What makes you say that?
Well, I've been in that same situation before. It's a little ironic, but just couldn't find myself to tend. And it inevitably led to death, but well, life goes on.
I guess from those situations, all we can do is make the best out of it. Use it as a force to drive us, not something to hold us down and wallow in. Use it as a source of growth.
Well, there's no growing for me. And then I kind of just look at the coin and flip it. Basically implying like, oh, I can't grow because I have a coin that does stuff for me.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for choosing the Warforged brand. We hope you enjoy our products.
Do not worry if your Warforged becomes injured. It will repair itself in 3 days. During this time, please ensure no one attempts to steal your Warforged, as they can be easily reprogrammed. Thank you and have a nice day.
They heard that as they wake up in the morning.
Sure, I guess it's my old programming before I was reprogrammed. My old programming went off, boys. I'm sorry.
It was the next morning, and the first thing they wake up to is you reciting that programming protocol.
And then as soon as the majority of the people realize that the sound is not the drill alarm, as soon as they're about to go to sleep, The drill alarm sounds.
You hear very disgruntled groans as you have more or less prevented them from getting an extra 5-10 minutes of sleep.
Oh, shit. Oh, I thought that's a 5-10 seconds of sleep. Hey, man, it's not my fault. My programming is funky sometimes.
It's a bug.
It's a bug. Are my two companions awake?
Well, assuming from that whole interaction that you woke up the entire camp, then I guess.
I guess I'm going to reactivate my original programming and then wake up, quote unquote.
All right.
I see you're all up and at it. I actually went offline for a few minutes there. How are you doing this morning, Inshu and Vex?
Let's figure that out. Alive and better than ever.
That's great to hear. I'm feeling a bit better myself. I was able to get repaired overnight.
Are you ready to go and meet the Duke this morning?
Well, I'm ready to head out when you two are. I do not know where this place is. I have not been able to tour around this area, as I have been busy repairing myself.
Well, lead the way, Inshu.
I'm gonna kind of gather my gear like I normally do, and lead the group that direction.
You guys go ahead. You walk out of the barracks. You see all the other men getting together. Some of them are still groaning, having that very unfortunate event prior. You get out, you go onto the street, you start walking up a bit north, and then you start seeing a bunch of more administrative buildings until the road opens up into a big concrete staging area of some sorts. There's some rows of soldiers here and there that are being basically briefed or escorted by commanding officers. As you guys walk into the area, one of the commanding officers kind of takes note of you and then comes over and it simply says, "Oi, you looking for someone?"
I believe we are looking for someone known as the Duke.
Ah, I see. He's over in... Let's see. He would be over in that building. I remember him telling us that there's some visitors heading in this area. Oi, Jenkins, get back in line.
What? We're standing in line!
No, you aren't. And don't backtalk getting back in fucking line. Alright. You guys just head up those stairs right there, and they should get you covered. I gotta get back to these men, unsubordinate as they are.
You see the guy he screamed at just kind of seething. Clearly not a morning person.
Is he in line?
He's in line now.
Oh.
I'm going to give that man my thanks, and kind of with the rest of the group start heading towards the building he pointed out.
Alright. As you guys start walking up the steps, I would say the northernmost center building is one of the biggest buildings that are in this general staging area. You end up walking in. You see this, you see your general entry area, and in the middle you have kind of like a person managing the desk, managing all the requests and people coming in and out. He's probably about early 50s. He's a human male. Has pretty heavy glasses on right now, and he's currently down in his paperwork. Yes, come in.
I'm just gonna walk in very casually.
How may I help you folks today?
I guess we were summoned here to talk to someone named the Duke or something.
I see. Did you bring any forms with you? Any request forms?
Do I look like a paper person?
As you say that, Chris,
Oh,
you all of a sudden start seeing this man kind of start shake a little bit. His head starts shaking a little bit. He raises his right hand up to his glasses, and he starts taking off his glasses, clearly shaking all over. He slowly puts his glasses down, and then he just throws down his pencil in his left hand and immediately says, You think you could just waltz in here without bringing any sort of
I cast
forms
grease.
whatsoever?
I cast grease.
You cast grease. Okay, what is?
He's attacking an ally. I cast grease in self-defense.
He just spews motor oil all over his desk.
Okay, at this I'm going to kind of pipe up and say,
Look, I apologize for the actions of my compatriots. I don't believe we were given any type of paperwork or notification that we were to meet him. Just a verbal request.
And they didn't even give you Form 1218A.
Not to any of our knowledges, no. There's a similar-
Bureaucracy! Bureaucracy! All of you are ignoring it!
What's going on out here?
They think they could just waltz in here and talk to whoever they may as well please.
at this point, I'm like, you know where it's like you have your hands by your chest, you're just kind of like fiddling with your hands, like, I don't know what to do here.
I'm raising my arm back up.
I'm
still
putting his
preparing
arm back
grease.
down.
It's a 10-foot radius, my man. It's not gonna help if you make me point it down.
I know, but I'm still putting his arm back down.
Harold, please, calm yourself. They are the ones that I have summoned here. They are expected. I forgot the paperwork. This is my fault.
You know how organized I like to be.
You will be recompensated for this. Please, just try to relax. Continue your job, and we will get this over with as soon as possible.
At this, you see Harold kind of turn back towards you guys. He very emotionally, slowly puts his glasses back on. He's still shaking to somewhat. And then he just waves off. Like, go on.
I'm gonna walk over towards the Duke and just say, Damn, have you ever considered hiring someone else for that job?
Harold is good at his work. Very professional, if not a bit unstable.
Oh, really? I couldn't notice.
He kind of motions the rest of you to come through the doors and, well, get out of Harold's area before he gets more agitated.
Guess I'll walk in.
I
Still,
will join.
When I'm walking in, is there like something like sitting on his desk or something like that? Like you know how they usually have like those cups full of pens or whatever?
There's one of those, and there's also those bells that they have at a
Yeah.
front desk that says like ring for assistance or something like that.
Yeah.
There's one of those.
When I'm walking over towards the Duke, I'm gonna knock one of those off the desk onto the floor.
as, as you see, you know what? You're knocking over the whole cup, right?
I'm just gonna fucking just hit it onto the floor, yeah.
Okay. That
Uh-oh.
couple is
I still have my spell prepared.
Let's say that as soon as the cup hits the ground, it shatters. He gets up. This time he takes off his glasses. He throws the pen just outright across the room towards the front door, and he goes down. You go to your meeting right now. I swear to God, and starts reaching down and trying to get the pieces of ceramic that are now scattered all over the floor in a 5-foot radius.
Is that a hostile action I hear?
Oh no.
Sounds like he threw something.
It feels like I'm gonna
Something the
need to
opposite
start.
direction.
It feels like I'm gonna need to start
Oh,
preparing
the
calm
opposite.
emotions.
The opposite direction. And he threw in the opposite direction.
When I'm walking towards the Duke, like, I'm going to turn back one more time and say, make sure you don't get cut. Don't want that happening.
Oh, I will make sure I won't get cut. You see this hand? You see the lack of paper cuts from the amount of forms that I've been given? That you lack?
I can't really see it in much detail. You're shaking too much.
I'm sure this is the last time that I see you today. He goes, he just continues picking up pieces.
I'm gonna cast Mage Hand and want it to be invisible.
Oh,
Pick up
okay.
one of the pencils on the floor and bring it over to myself. Kind of sneakily.
Okay. Perception check, Harold, with disadvantage.
Yeah, because he has no glasses on.
Do I need to roll anything for
Wow.
I
I don't think
Yeah,
you
don't
need
worry
to
about
roll.
that? I want to roll.
He is oblivious.
He's so
Cool.
flustered, he doesn't even notice.
I chose the most interesting pin that fell out of there.
Okay.
It's fine now. I have it.
All right.
That's it.
So at this point, you walk through the doors. By the way, when all that was happening, and when the when the cup shattered, the Duke, he didn't really intervene, but he kind of gives a
I would probably be making a very similar like motion.
You know, it's good that he has a job like this instead of being on the front lines.
That's the very reason he has that job. You'll have to forgive him. His entire platoon was eradicated, and he was the only survivor, simply because they did not follow their strict protocol. Ever since then, he has been a major stickler for the rules.
I guess we all enter into the room then.
Yeah. You make your way to a conference room. Inside, you see two familiar figures, Alec and Ross, and two other armed guards. There is a long conference table for people to sit at. The Duke, of course, takes the one at the end. And he says, "You are welcome to grab a seat or remain standing, whichever you prefer."
I will remain standing.
I will take a seat.
Remain standing.
Okay. So he gives you a minute to decide, and doesn't take long for him to realize whether or not you're going to take a chair or not. And then he kind of recomposes himself and he says, "Now then, do business. It is no secret to me that you have been selected. From what I can observe, you have agreed to this arrangement. Would it help to give you further instructions now, or wait until our departure?"
Let's hear it now.
Very well. I'm sure when you were summoned, they told you a bit about the drain, did they not?
He mentioned it once or twice, but other than that, nothing too significant.
He looks to you, Inshu, and says, "What do you know of this event?"
I know in passing some information about it, but nothing that would be considered historical or concrete.
Then I shall tell you. It was a day few live to remember. The sky grew dark as our great foe peered down at us. If he had a name, it has long been lost. He is known only as the Drainer of Worlds, or more commonly, the enveloper. Without warning, he began to drain the life out of all of Erulas. The grand massacre he unleashed may have been total, were it not for two brave warriors of legend. The first was the Mortar, a powerful behemoth who fought only with his bare hands and feet. The second was the Poet, an eloquent diplomat who preferred to fight his battles with words, quite literally. As the Mortar fought physically, the Poet uttered a masterful composition that could shake even the enveloper to his core. The results? Our great foe was trapped in a great prism, aptly titled the Chamber of Frozen Rays. That is our destination.
And once we do get there, what exactly do you expect us to do?
Not very much. The Overseer has deemed it necessary for you to know what you are up against before you set off on your mission.
That mission being...
When the enveloper attacked, he drained much of the life on Erulas. There is more. The drain caused tears in space, which we have deemed zones of anomaly. Normally, travel inside them is forbidden, but in this case, that is where you must go. You see, not long after the enveloper was trapped, the Poet created a tablet containing the words that contained him, should we ever need them again. To our misfortune, the Poet disappeared long ago, and a group of fanatics managed to steal his work. For who knows why, these zealots worshipped the envelope and attempted to destroy the poem so he could not be stopped again. Not only that, they abducted the Shattered Star.
What, pray tell, is the Shattered Star?
Have you heard of the great forged city of Falodare?
No.
Well, it is located in the first quadrant. It is a very legendary place. They are known for their masterful craftsmanship. And after the drain, the four smiths of Falodare deemed it necessary to craft a weapon so great that they could use it to combat the enveloper should he arrive again. Unfortunately, the cultists stole it as well. From what we have gathered, they were only successful in breaking the poem into fragments rather than destroying it completely. But they scattered them across the zones of anomaly, along with the Shattered Star. Perhaps most significant, when the Poet left, his friend the Mortar went looking for him. He never returned. That was 411 years ago, and now we have no time.
That's a lot to take in.
I understand.
I'm just gonna be sitting there as confused as a Warforged can look.
Okay.
This is the first time I've heard about almost everything about this, except for, I guess, when we were summoned earlier.
Alright.
Just confused.
I'd probably kind of lean back in the chair a little bit, kind of a little slightly puzzled look on my face, kind of tilting my head a little bit, the soft wrinkling or soft a very slight, like, like the jingle of metal coming from the earring. But I don't really say anything, just kind of thinking.
So, if we're so worried about this inevitable fight, then why exactly are you guys currently at war with the Imperium? What do they have in this?
Well, I myself am not at war with them. However, the Resistance is. They are the very reason that you were freed from remediation. And speaking of which, I will have to work hard to clear your names. So take great caution when you travel in the Imperium territory, for they may be impulsed to arrest you on sight, or at least attempt to.
I kind of look over to Vex and Aerodras.
I guess that wouldn't be the first time.
It's a little hard to conceal myself. I burn like a bright light in Imperium territory, especially with my surges that I have occasionally.
Like I said, I will do all I can to clear your names. But it will be difficult. If need be, I will go see the fourth overseer myself. But hopefully it will not get to that degree.
So when do we head off to this chamber?
Why, today, of course. But it will take some time to get there.
Where exactly is this? Could you show us on a map of sorts?
He nods to one of the men in the room, and he nods to the other two. One of them turns on. I forgot to mention, there is a projector on the center of the table. One of them turns the projector on, and the other pulls down the white screen. You see a map of the fourth quadrant. So, where the words that say Kuka Resistance, if you look to the very left, you'll see the words Fort Isk.
Yes.
That is currently where you are.
Alright.
The Duke explains that when you leave here, you're going to set off for the port city of Bell Rest, which is to the very bottom, and you will be setting off on a ship to the large island down below, simply referred to as Uncharted. And he also points, if you look in the very center, you see that very rigid looking borders. The Duke points to these on the map. There are a few on Quadrant 4, and there are others on other quadrants. Those are the zones of anomaly. And those are the ones that you will have to travel to one at a time. You're in an attempt to recover A, any poetry fragments that you find, B, the Shattered Star, and C, any possibility that you can find, either the mortar or traces of where he's been. And he finishes this explanation with, any of these three would be helpful, but if we gather all of them, our odds are very great.
When exactly today are we leaving out? To head for this area?
As soon as we are ready, preferably as soon as possible.
There's nothing holding me here, so I guess I'm ready.
I have all the stuff I need on me.
I as well.
Good. He looks to the two armed guards and says, prepare our BTT. We'll be leaving in 15 minutes. And he looks to Alec and Ross. And as he looks at them, they start standing at attention. And he looks back to you three and says, these are the ones who helped you, are they not?
I believe so.
Yes, these are them. I had healed Alec after one of our confrontations.
Good. Designations Alec and Ross. Henceforth you have been reassigned. You will be taking orders from me from now on. At this, Ross pipes up and says, oh, it's an honor, sir. Should we fill out our relocation papers? And the Duke says, do not worry about that. I will handle it personally. Now go. Prepare for the journey. We haven't much time.
Hello pipes up. Yes, sir.
With that, they take their leave and follow the others out. So you are to meet at the main entrance where the BTTs are usually docked when they're not being in use. The trip takes roughly 5 hours to get to Belrest.
Okay.
Eventually you arrive to the port city. With this, the Duke says it'll be about half an hour to load all of the equipment and whatnot onto the ship that you are scheduled to depart on. So if you want to get out, stretch your legs, maybe get something to eat, basic pit stop.
I'm being discriminated against here.
I will. I will kind of get out, walk around a bit.
Okay.
I'm just gonna be sitting there waiting.
Fuck. So with the loading of equipment and stuff, could I like assist in that?
Yes, you may. Upon further inspection, you are carrying a box that is full of toilet paper.
Oh my god. Oh no. Do you want the box of toilet paper? That's the real question.
You know what?
Sell
We're
it
gonna
for a pretty
pass.
penny.
We're gonna pass.
Restaurant guy.
Oh, and to set the scene a little more, see a lot of people working the docks, mostly human and halflings, but since this is a port city, you do see the occasional Triton.
And considering the close proximity of the Imperium, there is the occasional Kukur dock worker as well.
Did you say a Triton? The aquatic elf?
They're better than...
I gotta go register this man
Okay,
in my database.
I don't know why, but when you said Triton, I was thinking like they like work in the city, but then like when it turns to like evening, they just like walk into the ocean and they live at the bottom of the ocean.
I mean,
I think that's what they do, though.
that's not out of the question.
Yeah, I'm gonna go register that Triton in my database. So,
Okay, I'm just gonna scan him.
yeah.
Oh, when you do this, is it like visible or obvious? Or...
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Oh, kind of like when a transformer scans a vehicle to turn into.
Yeah, it's just I walk over, the green in my eyes just kind of, instead of just being kind of hues, they... Unless I'm trying to be hidden, then I go into spy mode and my eyes are black, but I think you could still see black light in the bright of day, so...
Yeah.
Either way, yeah, he's getting scanned.
Kind of catching him off guard, he goes, "Ah! What are you doing?"
Oh, my apologies. I am simply scanning you. I have not seen one of your species before. May I ask, what are you?
I'm a Triton, for goodness sake. I mean, I'm happy to oblige to, well, further your knowledge, but you could have asked.
My apologies. My creator does not ever ask when it comes to these types of things, and I have been programmed not to.
Oh my goodness. Well, whatever. You know what I am. I think I'm gonna head home now.
All right. I appreciate the info. During this break, I will see if there's any more species I do not recognize.
Okay. We'll say you left roughly around 8:30, and the journey took, what was it, 5 hours?
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be what, 1:30 now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's roughly 1:30. By the time you dock, it'll probably be about 1:45.
Yeah, 15 minutes to scam people.
Jacob, have you seen halflings before?
Depends. How common are they in the area I come from? In the Ishtar
Probably.
conglomerate.
Ishtar conglomerate, there's not, of course, you have your typical thing where humans are going to be fairly numerous throughout all of the territories. But out of all of them, there's a lot more balanced distribution of races in the Ishtar conglomerate. Obviously, there's some that's more rare than others, but I'd say halflings are along at least the uncommon.
Uncommon as in I probably haven't seen one then?
You're like 2 years old, right?
I am 2 years old, and I spent half of my first year doing things I'm not going to talk about.
Were they in the Ishtar conglomerate?
Yes.
I would say you probably saw at least a few halflings here and there.
Okay, cool. That's all.
Okay.
Jacob, roll a perception check.
Oh, fuck. Tokia! 19.
Okay. You also see one of the docks. Very small creature. Probably one you have not seen before.
Okay.
Even smaller than that of a halfling. He's he's donning blue clothes.
Does
And
he
he
have a red
wears-
hat?
He wears a belt with a big buckle on it, black boots, and a very vibrant red cap.
What
No,
in the
weird.
what in the tarnation? I'm gonna go scan this fucker.
He's currently fishing.
I'm scanning him. I'm gonna walk up, and I'm just gonna scan him.
Okay. You start to scan him,
I scan him.
and as you do,
Okay.
he jumps a bit,
Okay.
and you hear him go. "Ooh, ooh, ha, ha, ooh, hee, hee, ha, ha. Oh, 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 lowly old chum."
As a player, I don't want to ask the next question, but Aerodras would ask. My apologies. May I ask exactly what species you are? I can't quite tell. I don't think I've seen one of you before.
He reels his line in to the point where his hook is at the very top of the pole, and he places it. By the way, he's what, 2.5 feet tall at the most.
Oh,
This rod is like 3 times his height, and
so
he kind of
he's compared to my 6'10", he's puntable.
yes,
Okay.
and he kind of swings his pole kind of excitedly, and he goes, "I'm not a elf. I'm not a goblin. I'm a gnome."
What's like an elf and a goblin? I don't think I've ever heard of those races either.
By the way, as he shouts this, you know how when something odd in public happens, people just kind of pause what they're doing?
Yeah.
That happens.
Could someone come over here and kick this fucker? I would. He wouldn't do it. My character wouldn't do it, but I really fucking want to.
As he shouts this, before he can give you an answer, one of the other dock workers says, "Oi! Keep it down, you little ingrate! Yeah. Don't you have a garden you should be squatting in?" At this, the quote-unquote gnome, he goes, "Woo! Well, that's racist."
Still waiting on my answer.
He's not really focused on you anymore. He's just kind of leering at these 2 guys that are kind of bullying him from a distance.
Oh, okay.
And the other guy, he says, "Yeah, what are you gonna do about it?"
Shit, are we gonna see a fight?
He walks over to the skinny guy and the other guy, and he says, "If I pay you some coin, will you stop harassing me?" One of them says, "Don't know why you're throwing your money away, but sure, go ahead. We'll leave you alone. For now." He pulls out a small pouch. He opens it. And he reaches inside. Through a clenched fist, he pulls a clenched fist out. And without warning, he instantly extends his arm forward and blows a gust of just this powdery substance into their eyes, and they start screaming in agony. And one of them even falls to the ground, kind of just rolling in his own pain. And the gnome takes off, and as he does, he says over his shoulder, "You've been known!" As he runs off into the crowd, disappearing among what for him are giants.
I have the spell Grease.
Okay.
Aerodras wouldn't do it. But if I was playing literally any other character, I would have tripped that fucker up.
Who, the gnome?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can't because Aerodras would not. Just gonna go and silently just turn around and see if he could find his companions, because what just happened does not make sense in his robot brain.
As you turn around, or as you turn to start looking, you see none other than the Duke himself. From what you can tell, he's just witnessed this whole thing. And he looks down to the guys that are kind of trying to get that, whatever that was, out of their eyes. And he just goes, "Well, that just happened."
Sure did. I'm gonna go find my friends now.
Okay. So we'll say you walk back with the Duke. More or less everything's ready to go. And yes?
I just said okay.
Oh, okay. Chris, are you still there?
I'm there. Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, unless there's anything else you guys want to do, you begin to dock the ship, and you are going to make your way to Uncharted.
I'm just glad I wasn't there for that interaction. Like, I never thought that, like, busy work would be, like, a better alternative than that, but...
It was just scanning people, man. I had a feeling as soon as you said that it was a gnome, that what was going to happen.
I would imagine as soon as Colson got halfway through the description, I could have just imagined you'd be like, oh no.
Please don't. By the way, that was on the spot. I did not do that at all.
I got you. God damn it. All right, let's leave. Aerodras does not understand fleshies. It does not make sense.
It does not confuse.
Especially the small ones.
Especially the garden variety.
Why shouldn't he be squatting in a garden somewhere?
Alright, we'll say that you set off, and it'll take you... You'll reach Uncharted by 8:30 the next morning. So after it is now the next morning.
Has our
you
ship
hear
sunk?
No. Well,
Damn it.
yes, but no.
Yes.
You hear someone up above deck yell, "Lando!" You have now arrived to Uncharted. You begin to board the BTT as it makes its way off of the ramp of the ship and onto land. And it follows the road taking you where you need to go.
Okay.
You arrive eventually, we'll say about another hour 45 minutes passes. You arrive to what looks like some type of research facility. The borders of which are heavily guarded, fenced off. Thankfully, the Duke has authority to pass through. And eventually, you make your way to a very heavily fortified perimeter with ginormous walls made of solid steel. And as you make your way inside, you see a very strange object. It's a massive cube prism radiating a golden light, not unlike the sun. Oddly, though, it is not painful to look at despite its intensity. Around it is a secondary perimeter surrounded by numerous vehicles, devices, and what you can assume to be researchers clad in hazmat attire. Your BTT stops in front of the prism, roughly 40 feet from the secondary perimeter. Upon further inspection, you can tell that this prison seems to be withering. It has various gouges, grooves, and general wear. Occasionally, there are even small chips that seem to flake off, and as they do, they almost immediately lose their glowing luster. Kind of like when you weld and you see the very small pieces of hot metal hit the ground, and as they go out, the Duke says, "Another reason why we are here is to determine how much time you have before this barrier is decomposed completely." So you all get out. As you're getting out, he says, "This is the chamber of frozen rays and in the flesh. Quite magnificent, isn't it? It has kept him contained for 400 years." He kind of trails off. And you see a look of slight worry on his face. And as you see this, you yourselves feel a slight unease. You feel slight tremors as the Duke mutters, "It's him." Through the haze of the chamber of frozen rays, you see a figure slowly make its way to the inside of the wall. It's quite horrendous. A lean, muscular, yet decrepit figure leers at you from inside. He is shrouded in black, spiraling mist, and his eyes burn bright amber flames. He is still for a moment, looking at you as you look right back. Then rapidly, he flies backward, rams head-on into the wall in an evident attempt to break out. As he makes contact, there is a vibrant flash that stuns you for an instant. When the blinding light clears, the enveloper is gone. But a crack in the wall begins to slowly develop from where he hit.
I'm going to kind of, not out loud, but I'm gonna search. Just do like a search of all knowledge I know to figure out what that feeling was. Because while I can feel feelings, I don't know what most of them are. so I don't
Okay.
know what unease is, but I can technically feel it. So, character's just more uneased about not knowing what unease is. So it's a snowball effect.
I'm gonna kind of make a motion to the crack and say,
Is that not a big problem?
Oh, it is. This has been going on for 400 years, and now it is starting to give.
As you see this, you see a researcher that's not quite clad in any of the hazmat suit. You see that he's very professional with a lab coat, starting to approach the dude. It's a human of average build, medium, middle-aged.
What do you have? Report.
Where do I even start? By our calculations, sir, judging from the rate of corrosion, along with the frequency of escape attempts, I believe we predicted the barrier will last approximately 8 months.
You are sure of this? 8 months?
The scientist seems to contemplate his speech for a moment. He looks back up and nods. At best.
Then we must move quickly. Time is of the essence, and you will have to travel great distances to get to where you are going.
at this point, Ichi's gonna pipe up.
And at worst?
By worst, I say maybe even half that time, if not sooner. Judging by the rate of the crack that is on the most recent escape attempt about 30 seconds ago.
How many escape attempts have there been in the last month?
Let's see. Surprisingly, there was none over the last weekend, but on average, considering the last few months, I say there's been at least 10 notable ones.
And have they been increasing in frequency?
Oh, definitely. It was a lot more recently than it was even 10 years ago. I guess he's starting to realize that it might be soon.
This is not good. At the very beginning, he could not move at all, but now he is moving freely from the inside. If he were ever to escape again, I can't even imagine the damage he would cause, considering the world's already sorry state.
Well, guess we should probably get started now, given that we have an ETA of 8 months.
Yes, that would be best.
Do we have our travel preparations in line?
Of course. But first we must get back to the mainland. Thank you for your time, Jorgensen. Please, keep monitoring.
Thank you, sir. I'll get back to my work.
One more thing. It appears to be too dangerous to remain here. Do not worry about staying. Save your lives. If you remain by the time he is loose, you will not last long.
Acknowledged.
With that, he goes back to his position, and you guys are making your way back to the BTT. All right, as you guys make your way back, Inshu, you're not sure what, but something stops you dead in your tracks. And your surroundings disappear. All around you, you see nothing but blackness. Similar, yet more unsettling than the time you were summoned by the Council of Quadrant Alpha. You hear a feminine voice, a familiar one, and they seem to be crying in pain and discomfort. You turn around, and you see them. And as you do, your surroundings return, but something's different. You can tell that you're in the same spot. However, the walls, the chamber, are all gone. Without warning, you see as above you, the figure extends its arm towards her, and you see as life energy just leaves her body. And in an instant, she more or less evaporates. The figure turns its gaze to the right, and its amber eyes turn to a intense blue blaze. Looking at where it's looking in its general direction, you see a very large, muscular figure wearing nothing but what appears to be brown shorts. He has a very vibrant beard with the mustache braided and clamped off with little brass pieces. He takes off in a full-on sprint towards what you can tell to be the enveloper. And he jumps very high into the air. And as he does, he reaches to where his apparent enemy is. And his fist connects with the enveloper's face, sending him plummeting to the ground. Another figure joins in, clad in very vibrant robes. And you hear him begin to utter some words. When he finishes, you see a bright light, similarly to the chamber that you saw earlier. And as the flash clears, you're back in the blackness. You see the enveloper mere yards away. He extends a finger towards you, and you hear the voice in your head say, "You can never escape me." And with that, the rest of you see as Inshu is frozen for a second and then falls to the ground unconscious.
I'm going to run over there and try and kneel to the ground. Can I? Inshu, are you all right? Are you all right? Kind of shake him, see if he'll wake up.
You hear the Duke running over and he says, "What happened? What's wrong with him?"
I do not know. He froze and then fell unconscious.
The Duke looks back in the direction of the chamber. You look back towards the chamber of frozen rays, and you see the same figure you saw earlier. At the edge of the wall, where he was, he looks. He gives a brief smirk, and then slowly backs away. "We have to get him out of here. Right now. He has already been exposed for too long." With that, he scoops him up. You can, whether you're helping or not is up to you.
I will. Yeah.
Vex, do you have any reaction to this, or are you just kind of observing?
I seem to be in a state of indecisiveness. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Of like, should I help? I can't. And just kind of like freeze up.
As you begin to make your way back to the BTT, you feel that similar feeling that you felt earlier. And this time, you hear a voice in your head say, "Embrace your fate."
I'm gonna turn around.
You look. Unsurprisingly, you don't see anything aside from the chamber and the secondary perimeter and the people working around it. A few of them are looking at where he was because, well, rarely do they actually see him from the inside, so they're kind of just stunned before kind of getting their bearings again and getting back to what they were doing.
I'm just gonna shake it off. I know someone's trying to get to my head. I'm not gonna allow that.
As you begin to make your way back to the BTT, you hear one final thing. Embrace it.
Oh, thank fucking God. I'm gonna shake it off one more time.
You don't hear anything after that. Whether or not you're a bit shaken is up to you, but you hear the voice of the Duke say, Vex, what are you doing? It's time to go.
I'm just gonna snap out of it and get onto the BTT.
Alright. So you all board the BTT. And Michael, you slowly begin to gather your senses, and you begin to wake up similarly to the time from last session when you were being taken to remediation. Good. He is regaining consciousness. Are you alright?
I kind of like slowly pushing myself up with one hand, the other kind of on my face, kind of on my head.
I don't know. There was a figure. I met someone I never thought I would see again. Someone close, someone I cared for. But still, the meeting is painful.
Did you see him? Did you see the enveloper?
I did. He drained a figure. Someone I knew, loved. It was my sister.
I will kind of look over at Ancient. Well, I am glad to see that you are awake and okay. Please try not to do that again. Thank you. That's it. There it is.
At this, the Duke turns to Vex. He turns to Vex and says, What about you? I saw you tense up for a moment. Did you see anything?
Oh, I did not see anything, but I definitely heard it. Whatever the hell that thing is, it's trying to get into our heads.
Yes. And he will, if you let him. Please. If anything like that ever happens again, I implore you. Resist it at all costs. There's a good chance that he knows what we are up to.
He may try to use those of my past against me. Though the death of my sister led me to what I am today, give me the strength to be what I am. If he tries to use it against me, he will find but failure. Or if anything is but a reminding note of why I chose the path I did.
By all means, I hope you are right.
So, have we been told which anomaly zone we're going to first? Or are there some other stuff that we need to do before we do that?
We'll say on the way, the Duke tells you. So you'll take the... for simplicity's sake, we'll say another day passes. And you reach Bell Rest again. And upon arriving there, and after restocking and refueling, he tells you that you are meeting at one final rendezvous before setting off on your journey. You'll be meeting at the outskirts of Fort Varen, and you will be meeting a certain individual that will help you during your mission. You eventually make it to the outskirts of Fort Farron. By the time you reach it, it'll be about 6:30 in the evening. And as you get out and begin to stretch your legs and whatnot, you hear the Duke say, "This is the final destination before you set off on your journey. Here we are rendezvous with your escort. He knows the quadrants and the AZs better than anyone. No one is more qualified for this job than him."
Let us go meet him then.
Not even 5 minutes later, you see him. An avian humanoid flying through the air, who is clad in a tattered outfit rather than a full set of vibrant feathers. You only see patches along his arms and legs. A long bow can be seen strapped to his back, and a long hooked beak protrudes from his hood. He lands, and upon further inspection, you can see that this is a very, very decrepit individual. But despite his appearance, the Duke seems happy to see him, and you hear him say, "Salutations, my old friend. It has been some time." "Aye. So these are the ones I am to escort?" "Yes. They are the ones who have been selected." He kind of eyes you three for a minute, and he goes, "So they have. I'm sure you remember my payment." "Of course. We can pay you 2 now, plus 4 when the job is done." "Oh, that's more than generous. How long do we have?" "At most, we have 8 months. Perhaps less." "Oh, that's not very long. We better get moving pretty quickly." "Yes, of course." As the Duke says that, he pulls out from his bag, he pulls out 2 what appear to be potions in flasks. You see it as a very dark blue color, and he hands them to this individual who is known as the Guide. And he hands them to him. The Guide seems happy to take them. And now the Duke looks to you and he says, "Before you leave, we have a few more things to give you that may help you." He nods to Alec and Ross, and they unroll a mat containing a few items. One of them is a small metallic canteen with a spiral running from the center out carved into it. There's also a bag containing what they tell you to be 600 gold pieces, and finally, a weapon hilt. How you wish to distribute these items is up to you.
Wait, these
You
are for
say
us?
a hilt?
A hilt.
Like, no weapon, no blade, just a hilt?
Yeah, pretty much. From what you can tell, anyway.
Wait, why do we need that?
I don't know. So it was a hilt. You said 600 gold pieces?
Yep.
Hmm.
So distributed evenly, that'd be what, 200 each?
Yeah. What was the other thing you said? The hilt, the gold.
A small metallic canteen with a spiral carved into it.
Okay. I mean, I'll take like 80 gold, so that way I can cast my spells.
Okay.
My magic missile that requires 1 gold per cast.
Ouch.
I need gold.
All right.
Each I'll take 100 because taking 100.
Okay. Inshu, Vex.
I'll take
I'll take 100.
how much gold is left?
400.
Wait, there's 600 total?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there's 300. I'll take 250.
All right.
Well, my whole thing is if I can get 300 and I can somehow get and I can somehow translate that 300 gold into a diamond, if one of you dies, I can resurrect you. So
I need gold for spells, my man. I don't know.
All
What's going on.
right.
well, I'm just saying however much is, I'm just saying however much is left.
I'll take 200 then.
All right. If I get 275, I'll be up to 300.
You get 300.
I get 300?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get 300. Chris gets 200, and I get 100.
Okay, well, hopefully at some point I can translate that into 300 gold worth of diamonds.
Well, we're in a big old city, so.
Oh yeah, do that now.
And then what was? Sorry, you had the hilt, and then what was
And
the
the-
last?
Canteen with a spiral on it.
The canteen with the spiral on it, with the
Yes.
dark blue liquid, right?
No. The dark blue liquid is what they gave the guide.
Oh, okay. So there's there's nothing in the canteen?
I mean, you can find out.
Do I want to find out?
That's up to your. I would say that's up to you, but
I don't want to find out.
Okay.
I get the canteen, and I'm gonna look at it.
Okay.
Do I know? Have I seen anything that, in my small time of being alive in the Ishtar conglomerate, have I seen anything like this?
Yes. You have seen people consume whatever is inside, but you're not really sure what the purpose is for.
Oh,
Or actually, maybe you
Well-
would. I mean, you probably understand that humanoids need this substance called food and this other substance known as water. Most of the time, water comes out of canteens or other containers such as this.
okay, cool. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go. I do not believe I need this, and I'm going to hand it. I guess first I'll hand it back to Vex if he wants it, and then if he doesn't, then I'll hand it back to Inshu.
Alright.
You can just hand it to Inshu.
I'll hand it to Inshu. Who's
All
taking
right.
the hilt, by the way?
Yeah, I was about to say. Well, if you're not gonna take this, well, I guess you can take. And then I grab the hilt and just hand it over.
I know what this is, so I'll take it, and I'm. That'll work with me. See if it does anything.
Okay. As you do, you place a firm grasp and you begin to wave it around. As you do, you see as a blade just extends out from the hilt.
Ah.
You didn't realize it at first, but your hand was actually on a type of switch or button that releases the blade. This is, I mean, it's similar to a switchblade, but it's about the size of a sword. So, this is
Switch
what's-
sword.
This is what's that, or it's also known as a collapsible sword.
Okay, let me add this to my inventory real quick.
As you look closer at it, you can tell that it is silver plated.
Silver-plated collapsible sword.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you're inspecting the weapon further, you hear Ross say, "It's a shame. Falodare discontinued those. They don't really make them anymore. Probably because, well, they were being used by thieves, assassins, or other illegal folks."
I believe Silvus would love to enchant one of these at one point. I may hold on for whenever I see her next.
Inshu, you got the container, yes?
It appears so.
Okay. You are told by Ross that this canteen does not run out. and to keep a very close eye on it because it is very valuable, and there are a lot of thieves or bandits or other unsavory folks that would love to get their hands on it, especially in the wasteland.
Effectively, is it a decanter of endless water?
More or less.
All right, that's what I'm gonna add to my work pub or dungeon master's vault.
I understand that this is not much, but may these items serve you well.
Hopefully we can put them to good use. So, when do you expect to hear back from us?
He reaches into his bag once again, and he pulls out a kind of a clunky looking radio. You know, those old timey walkie-talkies that are kind of big. They're basically brick size.
Mm-hmm.
Pulls out one of those. He kind of twists one of the nozzles on it, and he says, "Activate this. This is a tracking beacon. Once you have all the items you can attain, activate it, and we will come to you. All we ask is that you find the fragments, the shattered star, and if you can, the mortar. After that, we will not ask you to join us in the battle. There will be no dishonor and turning away once this is done."
And if we fail?
If you fail, I fear the odds against us will be too great. The enveloper nearly drained the entire planet in 10 minutes. And that is when it was vibrant and full of life. Now it is frail. If he ever were to get the chance to drain the rest of the life on this world, it would be quicker and more violent. He looks toward the guide, and he says, "You have your orders, guide. Make sure you get them where they need to go. And the rest of these are all yours." He pulls up one of the flasks. The guide kind of nods and utters a, "I bid you farewell. May you complete your mission with all haste. And I hope to see you again."
Wave at him, said goodbye.
Okay.
Please don't put... Basically saying don't put all your hope into us. Like, don't let the fate of the world rest on our shoulders.
We are not the only forces that are at work against this great foe. Do not worry. I have faith that you will see it done. After all, it was not I, but someone far wiser who selected you for this mission.
Well, let's hope they're right.
The Duke nods, and he turns to his company, and he says, "We make for the third quadrant." "You heard him! Move out!" And with that, they all quickly board their BTT, begin to make their way to the third quadrant. And as they kind of disappear in the distance, you see as the guide, who has already popped the cork off of one of the flasks, begins to, no pun intended, drain it. And he goes, "Right then, let's move ourselves. On, please. Keep your wits about you. This wasteland's by no means safe."